Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to discuss how to submit a car to Hot Take, as well as 5 cars that I want to review. This is the follow-up to the video we did last week, where we discussed the changes to the Hot Take score. Before we get into it, I want to put it out there that I will review anything, even that 1998 Toyota Corolla with rust that just happens to be a manual. My only requirements are that the car is reasonably safe, like the brakes working is pretty important for me. And that you're okay with me doing some spirited driving in it. If you want a reference as to how spirited I'm talking about, just watch my other videos. Things I will generally avoid, like launching. I won't really launch a car unless the owner tells me to. That sort of thing. I generally treat most cars the way I treat my own car. Bear that in mind, but if the car is not really roadworthy, then obviously I don't really want to review it until it is. Even if I've already done the car, you feel free to submit it again. If it doesn't end up on the Hot Take series, it might end up on the Sunday Drive, or it might have something else to talk about it specific to it, maybe modification, or just some highlight related to the car. Maybe you just want exhaust clips of it. You just want to throw some exhaust clips on YouTube, and maybe like you build this custom $10,000 exhaust, and it sounds sick. Like, please let me know. I'd love to film it. I'm all ears for suggestions all the time. So, logistic-wise, I am located in Michigan. I would prefer that you come to me because I have some roads that I like and it'd be easy for me to gauge compared to other cars. But if you're further away, still feel free to reach out. There may be a reason I'm in your state or country or whatever, for whatever reason. I'm not opposed to making a trip for the right car. It really all just depends, but do not hesitate to reach out for any reason. Worst they say is no. Right, so then how to submit a car. There's a few ways you can reach me. The way to get a quickest reply is probably Instagram, @PraidFish. I will put the link in the description down below and flash it up on screen, the handle. It's kind of a goofy name, but that's me. The other way to reach me is either by Facebook or by email. I'll try to be checking it a couple of times a week, so if it does take me a little while to get back to you, probably haven't seen it yet, or I haven't checked my email, or whatever, I will get back to you. And I will try to reply to emails if I can. I guess it'll really depend on how many emails I'm getting, but we'll see. I'll try to keep you guys all updated. If you message me on Instagram or Facebook, you can just treat it like a conversation with your friend, very kind of informal. However, if it is an email, I do want it formatted with the following information. The subject line of the email should be the year, make, and model of the car, followed by an adjective. Say I have my M3, I have written as 1998 BMW M3 street/track as the adjectives. So I can use track. If it's stock, use the word stock. If it has a turbo on it, say didn't have a turbo from the factory, now it does. Put the word turbo, etc. You kind of get the idea. This is just so I can kind of distinguish it from others. So say 3 people submit the same car, I would say, okay, this one's a track one, this one's got a turbo on it, this one's a stock one. You can kind of make that distinction. For the email yourself, I want your full name, a good phone number to reach you by, the name of the car again, and a brief description of the car. If there's a mod list, feel free to give me kind of the highlights or the mods you think are most important on the car or things you want me to talk about. And kind of let me know something you might want particularly highlighted. Generally kind of paint this car out for me. Maybe include a couple of photos, whatever you feel like is the best to represent the car. At the end of the email, give me your location. Does not have to be specific. I just want like a state and a city you're from so I can get an idea of logistics. If the car is getting listed for sale, i.e. there's like a time constraint or a sense of urgency, let me know of that too, and I'll try to get to the video faster. If you want it to like help your for sale ad, just let me know. I'm all ears. So that's how to submit a car, and I may make updates to this later, so check the description box, especially if this video is old. I may have made updates, but that's the general idea of it. So now my favorite part of this video. 5 cars I would like to drive for videos. I'm going to limit this to 1 car per brand. I'm going to put this out here now, my automotive biases. I have a large bias towards BMWs. I love the cars. I love how they drive. I do want to make that apparent. I'm still going to try to score them objectively and be very apparent about their faults, but always assume that I am on lookout for the weird, interesting ones, a lot of niche ones like heritage cars, Alpinas, all those sorts of things. Now then, going with that, number 5 is going to be the E34 M5 or 535i. The E34 M5 is a car that has always been kind of elusive to me. There's a few reasons I really want to do one. It was the last handbuilt M car. They carried the S38 motor, the original straight 6, or iteration of the original straight 6 to put the BMW M1. The E34 is really kind of like just one of the last like really classic like old school BMWs. The E36 kind of started to blend in a lot of the modern stuff, but the E34 was really like in that classic era OBD1. You get the dancing tack needle when you shift. It's just really cool. But there's a really lot about them on the internet. A lot of really good driving videos. There's some, but I'd really like to get something binaural audio and kind of like from the driver's seat, which I haven't really seen a lot of. And I really want to know how the E34 M5 drives. So I'd really love to drive a stock one, or even cooler, a Dynon stroked one. That would be super duper awesome. But it's just a car I've always kind of wanted to drive, and it makes number 5 on this list. So number 4 on the list, we have the EP3 Civic Si or Type R. The Type R would be really cool, but we didn't really get them here. Some of you know that in high school, I had an EP3 Si. It was actually 6-speed swapped from the 5, and I love that car. That car was a lot of fun. But at the time, I wasn't really as good of a driver, and I would love to drive a nice, really well-sorted one, and kind of, with my now adult eyes, drive it and really get an idea for how it drives compared to a lot of other cars. But the EP3, in my opinion, it was the last of the classic Hondas, the old school style, before they got to I think it's the 8th Gen SI that came after it, and they got a lot more of the modern tech. I like the shifter on the dashboard. I think it's really cool. And they're just analog cars. They're really fun. I still think they're kind of cheap-ish relative to a lot of other classic Hondas, because the EP3's always kind of like been the unloved bastard child of the Civic world. And I adore them. They're just really cool cars. One of the driving videos I made with my EP3 SI is still my most viewed video to date. I'll link that up here. At the time, I had like an exhaust leak, and the thing was obnoxiously loud. For what it was, that car was a ton of fun, and I'd really love to get a second look at one. So bringing us to number 3 on the list, we have the Mark III Jetta GLX, or the Golf, or the VR6, or Corrado SLC, the VR6 being the common denominator here. I also had a Mark III Jetta GLX in high school for like a month. It was a pile of garbage. I could not fix it. I bought it trying to fix it, and I just could not. But it drove kind of nicely for what it was, with all of its issues. And after I sold it, the cars just kind of grew on me. I was already predispositioned to these cars from Forza Horizon 1. They start you out with the Corrado. And I always thought the Corrado was a really cool looking car. And I just think the Mark IIIs are just cool cars. They're really similar to E36s, but they're different in a lot of ways. And I always just kind of like that. And I'd like to take an in-depth look at a nice one. Similar to the E34 M5, there is not a lot POV-wise for these cars at all. Like, I cannot find any good videos on YouTube POV of these things. They're all old, lower quality, and I'd really love to kind of get a look at one and get something out on the internet, because I think that this is really an unloved car relative to a lot of the other classics, but it also might not be. I haven't taken an in-depth look at one, especially in recent years, so I could drive it and completely change my mind on it, but I think it'll be a really fun car. And I'd really like to compare it to a lot of the other cars that are going to end up on this list. Number 2 is going to be the Mustang GT350. It doesn't have to be an R. I mean, I'd take a regular one. It's the one with the engine from hell, the Voodoo motor. I don't think I really have to do much explaining on this one. I rode in one when it came out. I'll start here. When I came out, I heard one, and oh my god, it was just one of the most fantastic sounding engines in the world, like to me. It sounds amazing. And then I rode one at the track, and it just felt phenomenal. It was truly, in my opinion, I haven't driven one, but I think it is one of the best cars that Ford's ever put out, and I think it's the last Shelby that I think we'll get with the manual transmission. I think that's going to be a future classic. But I really want to drive one. I want to experience what that is like, and honestly, the sound alone might sell it for me, but I will not go that easy on it. So that makes number 2 on our list. And on to number 1 on our list is going to be the 996 GT3. This is also kind of the bastard child of 911s. It's the one with the funny headlights. The 996 is my favorite generation of Porsche 911. Now that is coming from someone who is literally the definition of an internet warrior, because I've not driven any of them. So I'm not going to claim that it's better or worse for any particular reason. I just like the way they look. And I've been in them. I've driven them very, very briefly. And they feel great. I have not seen a high quality video of a 996 GT3 on the internet. There's like one video of one of these cars on the Nürburgring that's like 10 plus years old, and it sounds so visceral. Honestly, this car, this is one of my dream cars. I really want one of these someday. I think, but I really want to drive one, and I'd love to compare it to a lot of the other cars on this list and really just get an idea for how this car is. So we have now discussed all 5 of the cars I want to review. There are going to be a few honorable mentions. The first one's going to be the 996 Carrera 4S. Maybe you'll tell now that I really just want to drive a 996. But I really want to drive an NA one because the NA ones have a really particular sound, which the turbo ones also have a good sound, but they kind of lose a little bit of that. In my opinion, the NA ones just kind of have like that really classic Porsche flat 6 howl. And I really do kind of just want to hear that. If it wasn't obvious already, I'm a big audiophile when it comes to cars. A car sound can sell me on a car. But the second honorable mention is going to be the E39 M5. So this is probably also one of my most lusted after cars, and it would have made this list instead of the E34 M5, but I know for sure that I will be buying an E39 M5 someday. And I know that they are around. I know eventually I will do a video with one. I have no concern getting my hands on one. They made a fair amount more of them. There are more of them around. Whereas the E34 is a lot more elusive. I rarely ever see E34 M5s. I've maybe only seen a handful in my life. Whereas E39 M5s, I usually, every BMW meet I go to, I see a couple of them. Which is why the E39 M5 made the honorable mentions and not the list. And then lastly, I want to do a video with an Acura Integra Type R or GSR. Preferably the cold air intake. Honestly, I just want to hear the VTEC. When I bought my Civic Si, my EP3, I was kind of hoping for that like really classic B series, like angry VTEC sound, and I kind of lacked that. I really want to hear what that sounds like, and honestly, I think the Integra, it just looks like a lot of fun. It looks like right up my alley as far as cars that I like, and I bet they honestly drive kind of similar to E36s, so I would love to check that out, but there we go. Those are the top 5 cars plus 3 that I really want to review. There are a lot more cars that I'm going to review, the Corvettes, a lot of classic Audis, and so on and so forth. I could add hundreds of cars to this list, but I'm like the Ash Ketchum for these cars. I just want to drive them all. He wants to catch them all. I want to drive them all. I want to experience them all. I love cars. I will never say no to going on a drive. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think. But now you all know how to submit a car, and you know some cars that I'm looking for. Feels like I've been doing way too much.